If your cold emails are landing in spam, it might not be your copy, it might be your setup. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the exact system on how to send 10,000 cold emails per month without landing in spam. Let's get right into the video. Quick background about myself. My name is Luis Ortega, founder of Excel Marketing. We send about 100,000 cold emails per month just by our agency, not including our clients, just from our own agency. In this video, I'm going to show you the exact system and the exact setup that we use so that you can just copy it and apply it on your own. So before I explain everything, this is the exact reply rates that we're currently receiving on our agency right now. As you can see, 5% reply rate, 2.97, 1.17, 2.49, 1.89. For you to understand the exact setup for the infrastructure, it all goes down into three parts. First is the domain, then the inboxes, and then the sending tool. So let's go it one by one. So the domain is what will show up on your email. So for example, Louis at thisisyourdomain.com. Whatever you buy as a domain, this is what will show up here. So if example, your company is accounting, right? So you accountingcompany.com. What I recommend here is just using .com and .co only. Don't use .info, just for the longevity purposes. We've tested this a bunch of times. Now, where do you actually buy the domains? So there's two main providers I use. I know there's going to be a lot of providers out there, but I'm going to be recommending the ones that I have already trusted. I bought a bunch and hundreds of domains from them. So the main two providers that I use is Porkbun and Spaceship. Why these two? Because sometimes Spaceship has a sale. .com domains might be cheaper here because it only goes for $9.06. Porkbun usually goes for around 11, but Porkbun also has a sale sometimes whereby .co domains. So that's where I primarily use it too. Okay. Now let's go to the inboxes. The inboxes is the actual email you'll be sending the emails from. This is your inbox at thisisyourdomain.com. So whatever your name is, you can put Louis at excelmarketing.com, Louis.Ortega at excelmarketing.com, for example, right? Now, where do you buy the inboxes? So there's three main providers: Google, Outlook, and SMTP. I'm gonna be discussing this in depth later on, so stick around at the end of the video. So because I'm gonna show you some stats, real-time stats that I did an audit before I created this video, so that you can understand the current real-world stats that is happening out there. Okay, I'm gonna discuss that later. Now next, the sending tool. What do you mean sending tool? So this will do two things. First is to warm up your inboxes, because once you create a new inboxes, you cannot just send hundreds of cold emails per day on that single inbox, right? So you got to warm them up. It's just warm up in simple terms is just two emails sending to one another pretending that they're a real person, so that Google or Outlook cannot detect that this is a cold email inbox, okay? And then next, it will automate the sending for you, because the last thing that you want to do is to manually send the 10,000 cold emails by yourself. You don't want to do that. So it will automate everything for you. One last step here is to do minimum of 14 days for the warm up, and the longer the better. So we've even done 1 month warm up where it did perform better. But in terms of like timeline wise, I recommend to do 14 days minimum. And then I'll show you the setup later on the reason why we do 1 month warm up as well, because you need backup. So that's the first lesson that I'm going to be applying here. Okay, so next, how many inboxes per domain? The providers that we will be using here tends to have a different setup. So I'm going to be using the ranges of things that I've already tried and what I recommend to do right now. So for Google, I recommend 2 to 3 inboxes per domain. So meaning, if you were to have Accelo Marketing, I recommend to use it only for 2 domains or 2 inboxes when you're using Google. And at the current moment, the current setup that I'm currently using is just minimum of 2 inboxes. That's it. Just to keep it safe, simple. And the emails per day is ranging from 10 to 20 emails per day once the warm up is completed, meaning you've already warmed them up for 14 days minimum, and then you're now ready to send. The reason why I say 20 is because if it performs really well, then I can just increase the volume. And then later on, I'm going to show you the stats. But for Outlook, I've seen a wide variety of ranges here. It goes from 10 inboxes per domain up to 99, because there's multiple providers of Azure inboxes out there. I'm currently testing Mailrun. there's mail deck, there's other things if you watch several other videos, but they all come down into the same email sending per day, so which is 2 to 4 emails per day. That is the safest right now, because if I were to be honest, Outlook is the worst performing right now because of the spam filters that they have on. So next, SMTP. SMTP is a private infrastructure that you rent on other providers. So you have MailReef, you have Scaled Mail that does SMTP. I currently use Scaled Mail, so you can try that too. But my current setup with them is 4 inboxes per domain, and I can send up 10 to 20 emails per day using that. But here's the best part. Okay, what about the stats? Let's talk about stats. Another question that you might have here. Okay, you've just given me 3 options, but where do I go to? You can choose for yourself. So I'm going to show you the stats and be fully transparent with you. Let's start with the Google. Google Stats is the best performing one, has been the most consistent overall best performer inboxes out there. As you can see, this is my current stats that I reviewed. This is between November and December up to January 17 right now, which is the time I'm recording this. That's the, we can say, 45 days to 60 days time frame, okay? It's averaging 3.95% reply rate. And I have tested out between different offers, meaning I'm selling accounting on the other offer, I'm selling lead gen on the other offer, I'm selling IT on the other offer. And it's ranging between 2 to 5%, because, of course, if your offer is really good, there tends to be more reply rate. But overall, I'm seeing anywhere between 2 to 5% reply rate just by Google inboxes. Okay, full transparency there. Now next is Outlook. This is what I mean by the worst performing. When I mean that we've already sent 1,000 plus emails on these accounts, and we're only averaging 0.70% reply rate. And to be honest with you, out of all the clients that I have, I only have one Outlook setup on just one of the clients, because it's tend to perform well. But the rest, I've canceled them out. It's not really working well. I don't have a solution right now in place. That's why I'm sticking with what works. Now the next part is SMTP. What does SMTP stats look like? SMTP could act as your backup. So it's still averaging 1.11% reply rate. It could improve, because look at the sendings. To be fair, this sending stat is not enough, because I'm only recording less than 300 emails here. It could perform better, maybe if you warm them up even more. So that's why I'm giving it a chance, right? I'm giving it a fair shot. I would still send more of this. I would still send more of this, maybe 500 more, right? And maybe that's where I decide. So if I were to recommend you, okay, how many inboxes per domain and which of these 3 providers to use? So how many inboxes really boils down on how many emails you want to send. If you want to send 10,000, I'm going to be discussing the stats down here. But if I were to recommend the 2 setup, do this. Go 50% Outlook or 50% SMTP. Or even better, what I'm currently doing right now is 80% Google, 20% SMTP as a backup. That's it. That's the safest way, because Google will still be the most consistent overall provider out there. So far, in over 4 years that I've been doing this, Google has been the most consistent overall. There will be times there where Outlook tends to perform well, but Google just stays flat. But sometimes that's good. As long as you keep working and stay flat, that you're still working, I can scale you. I can just set up more inboxes, right? Now, let's get into the actual numbers. Okay, how many domains and inboxes do I need to send 10,000 emails per month? I'll break down each of the infrastructure, whatever you choose. So, just a quick note, this is a conservative estimate, meaning you still have backups. If you were to proceed with Google, you will be needing 25 domains and 50 inboxes. This is assuming that you only have 20 working days per month. That's where I got the number from. And from there, you can now send 500 daily, because 500 multiplied by 20 is 10,000. Now next, Outlook. You will be needing 25 domains and 250 inboxes, which you can send 500 daily. This is based off my setup with Mailrun, the most recent provider that I've tested with Outlook services, and their current setup is just one domain is equal to 10 inboxes. So that's how you can achieve 500 daily with that setup. And this is assuming that you're sending from the 2 emails per day. Very conservative. Imagine still, if one of the inboxes perform really well, you can now increase to 4, ramp it up, and then the volume would be even higher. Now, the next part, SMTP. And to be honest, the setup here with Scaled Mail, the provider that I recently used, is just 12 domains and 48 inboxes. That's the current setup that they have. So that's why I edited it, because if you were to go to them, it would require you 12 domains and 48 inboxes, but you could still send about 500 daily there. I tend to go to their lower recommendation because just to be safe and clear there. But yeah, that's what you're going to be needing if you want to set up SMTP inboxes. Okay, but the real question here, okay, 10,000 emails per month. Well, how can I find 10,000 people? How do you find the people to email? So first is you go to data providers like Apollo. You can watch some of my tutorials there. I got full Apollo tutorial that is latest for 2026. You can do that. And then you will not be trusting if it's verified or not by Apollo. You will always, always, always do an email validation. Email validation is just to make sure that it is real, the person is still there, the email is still active, and that you can send without landing in spam. Next is data enrichment. Data enrichment is actually an optional thing to do because this is where you can add your personalization. So if you want to know the case studies that they have, you can use Claygen example. I also have some Clay tutorials on my YouTube channel, so feel free to check them out if you want to know more about this data enrichment. But you can skip this part if you're just sending basic emails that is directed towards that person that you're reaching out to. Okay. And then lastly, campaign launching, because you don't want to send it manually. So you will launch it to a tool called SmartLead, Instantly, or Email Bison. Here are the 3 main providers for the sending tool, but full transparency, I'm currently using Email Bison for my agency because I have multiple clients to handle. But if you're a company and you just want to start, I recommend SmartLead or Instantly. They're much better. But if you're an agency as well and you're watching this video, then I recommend you use Email Bison. It's so much, so much, so much better when you're at scale. So that is the whole roadmap on how you can send 10,000 emails per month without landing in spam. And if you even want to send 10,000 emails per day, then you just multiply it by 10. It's very easy. You just have to set it up, and that's going to be pretty much it. Comment down below if you have any questions, and please like, subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.